Welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Michael Sanford. He is a longtime friend of mine. Well, really, like a lifetime, because he knew me before I was out here. Welcome back.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I'm enjoying it.
So I remember on the last episode, we were talking about marriage and dating, but you are now a father to your own son. You have a little boy, Michael Jr. How is fatherhood? Like, how is that?
Man, fatherhood is, first off, it's great. I know I just did that deep sigh. That wasn't a sigh of like, oh, this is bad. I just caught it. I caught my reflection. I was like, wait, why I look like that? No. I'm saying like that sigh was a sigh of man, I'm still trying to find the words to wrap around it. Like, fulfillment is not a strong enough word. Joy, I feel like, is not a strong enough word. I've never felt or experienced what I feel as a dad, and it's like my life has come together. Like, now that I'm a father, I feel like my life has melded together in like the most perfect way, in ways that I never knew. Like, being a father it helps me make sense of my role as a husband. It helps me make sense of my role as a son to my own parent. You know, my dad, who's still alive. It helps me make sense of that. It helps me make sense of being a big brother to my sister and a younger brother to my brother, and a big brother to my friends who I'm very close with. It just, being a father has it's like the bookend, if that makes any sense. It's like my life has been all of these different volumes of books, and we oftentimes think of something like death as the bookend. Like, it's like born and death. But I honestly feel like for this section, or for the remainder of my life, I should say, being a father has given me such definition that it is the bookend for me. It's given me, I don't have a strong enough word. I'm so in love with my son. I'm so in love with my family, and I'm so incredibly thankful to God for him. So yeah.
No, but that's good though. That's so amazing that you can feel that way. I know a lot of people. I know my own dad. He said that cause I'm named after my dad too. I know you named your son after you, and for a long time, I'm like, why hair? Like, what? It sounds so old. That's why I don't use it. I use my stage name, but but this last night, I was looking up what my name means, and Harold is a strong army leader. So
wow.
Yes. And so
I just got chills, bro. That's crazy. That's
so like, to your point, like in the last episode, you were saying that I'm doing all these things. I have all these business ventures that I'm doing, and so I'm like, the name fits. And also, as I got older, I'm like, going to talk to people, talk to like suits. And because we are blood men, and so sometimes the name, I feel bad for some people because when I gotta be very, very careful how I put this, but damn, sometimes going in and going for a job, your name can sometimes play a big part in that. And so
yeah, absolutely.
Somebody named Daquan might not get might get the job over Daquan just because Michael's name is Michael. That's not right. But I'm just saying that's how it is.
Right.
I'm being real. That's just how it is. So I think, of course, I still use my stage name, but you know, on contracts, you know, I got that.
Hero, right?
And like, you know, and like it helps. You know, it helps close deals, and I think it's very, very important that we, you know, if we do have a name that we're like, I'm not really funny. Go look it up. Go look it up and see what it means. And like, hopefully your son, if he had this deep appreciation for being named after his dad. Because you are such a great guy, and so, you know, I hope that little Mike is like, okay, you know, being named after dad isn't so bad. Now, I have notes, but sometimes I go off my notes and I go on my own little tangents.
I'm with it. Let's go.
You lost your mom at a young age. And I know for a lot of people, like my own nieces and nephews, they were very young. The oldest was 10. What kind of advice can you tell people? And like, you know, Shari was like my second mama. So
I know.
So and like, you know, it was a couple days before my birthday when she passed. And so I think, and I might cut it out, I might leave it in, but I think that sometimes the Lord will take people away that might be a crutch. Like, you know, I think like if she was here now, I wouldn't be doing everything that I'm doing. I would be more like, okay, let's hang out with sis. But like, can you talk about like how it is and, you know, the hardship that can bring not having that parent?
Nah. It's funny you as you were talking, I immediately went back to the 14-year-old who, it's so funny you say it was a few days before your birthday. My mom actually passed 3 days after my 15th birthday.
Oh.
So like I was a 15-year-old, like freshly 15-year-old when my mom passed. So I resonate with that. Like it changed the mood of every birth to this day. It's changed the feel of birthdays. And I remember for a long time, I used to vacillate. I used to either want to go so far above and beyond for my birthdays. And I felt like this ain't what the conversation, but it's leading to where I'm going. As far as I used to go so far above and beyond to either make that birthday special, or I'd be like, man, I don't even want to celebrate, or, you know, just kind of downplay it, and felt entitled to like people making it great for me and all this stuff. But no, I think what you said, and even in the edit, I hope you keep this part that part in there, because I so strongly agree with that. I believe that if my mom were still alive, my life would be significantly different. And I tell my sister, specifically my sister, because my brother, he was an adult, but my sister, not that it wasn't, so I'm the middle child. I have an older brother and a younger sister, and not that it was any less hard for him, because I feel like it was just as hard, you know, if not harder. I mean, you've lived your entire childhood and become an adult with your mom, and that's, you know, your relationship with your parents change when you get older. And so you were just exploring that, and then it was snatched from you. So I get it. But I always tell my sister, had my mother been alive, I know our lives would look vastly different. In some ways for the better, because quite naturally we have our mom, but in a lot of ways, I don't know that I would have been as motivated to like go away for school. I wouldn't have been as motivated to, pursue like the career and stuff like that. And likewise with my sister. But as far as advice, and I think about your nieces and nephews so often when I think about Shari, because like I know what they meant to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I, in middle school and high school, Shari was definitely one of my best friends. We were so close, and like we would always, cause she could be wild. Like she was the rowdy one. I was nervous to be wild.
Yeah.
She had I was about to say balls of stitch to just whatever she wanted to do, right? Shari, she would fight. She ain't care. Like you ain't mess with Shari, and she was a leader. She was such a great person. And even when, we got older and we didn't talk as often as we did before, when we would talk and catch up, like she could be sick. It didn't matter what was going on in her life. She lit up when she talked about her kids. And like, that's mostly what she talked about. So I know them, even at that young age, losing that type of anchor, how that felt, because that's how my mom was. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, we were like her heartbeat. And so I guess the advice that I would have for those, and I guess I understood your question in two parts. One, the advice I would have for, people around them that are, continuing to raise them and be active in their life. And then also for them, what I would say to people around them is like, they are still, whether they say it or not, they are still grieving, they're still adjusting, and they're still learning.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing that people around them can do, which I know you guys do, like, because I know how Shari felt about you and how you felt about Shari. Like, you were legit her child. Like, y'all mama had you for Shari. You were Shari's baby. And I feel like, I know you already do it, but the best thing that people can do is constantly remind them of the memory of Shari. Constantly remind them of who she was. The greatest aspects of her. You know what I mean? Because nobody's perfect, but she was a pretty great person.
That's a great segue into our next topic, and that's ministry. Ministry. How do you get into that? Because you've always been very, very faith-based in your life. That's God is a really, really big part of you as a person. So how do you go from being this teenager that loves God into being a man who now mentors teens and people of all ages to try to get them to connect with the higher power?
My foundation was God. I grew up in a home that was our foundation. And I understand that's not everybody's foundation, but for me, I recognize that even in times when I tried to disconnect, because I think a lot of people, especially that knew me like how you know me when I was younger, and I'm, like you said, faith-based. Like that's just been the core of my personality. And then I become this adult. It's like, oh, you've always been in this position. And that there were years that I completely as they said, I did the foolé. Like I completely, detached, or I wasn't as committed and faithful, as I strive to be like today and, at other points in my life. But for me, and I guess I'm just trying not to sound churchy when I say it, but God really has been so good and gracious to me. And I think having the understanding that for me, Christ, my higher power, that Christ was always pulling for me, like even in the wackest, darkest, most awful seasons of my life, times in my life, that, I felt like God was on my side, and he was pulling me through. And even when I talk to you about, things like losing my mother at such a young age, it was like, I remember, for 3 days not eating, being depressed in a room like with doors shut, and my grandmother literally like forcing me to leave out and forcing me to eat. I remember, in times when I did not want to live, because of just a whole bunch of chaos. And I could just go through instance after instance, but in some way, God always showed up, and he not just helped me out of the situation, because I think a lot of times people expect that in a story. They expect you to be like, oh, well, I love God because I was going through this hard time and he made me feel better. It was times I didn't necessarily feel better, but the stuff that happened, he sent people my way that encouraged me and reminded me that he was pulling for me. So just like any good parent is standing on the sidelines as they see their, it's times that you're going through stuff. Your parents, they don't necessarily jump in and fix it for you, but they let you know, like, here, we're pulling for you. We're praying for you. And I think for me, that's been the constant thing that's kind of anchored me, is that I honestly feel like I always have a cheerleader in God, like pulling for me. And so now, it's just, when you're in a relationship, it's like how we were talking. Mm-hmm. I'm in a relationship with my wife. My love for my wife is so much bigger than just, me and her talking about it or expressing it to one another. It's something that's so a part of me now that I have to tell other people. Like, I feel like I'm less of a husband if I go into an environment and they don't know that I'm married. You get what I'm saying?
That's good.
And so likewise with my faith, I feel like God is such a part of me, and my love for him is so much bigger than just me and him, that, although I'm not running into every room like, hey, do you know I'm a Christian? Mm-hmm. My life, I can't help but bring it up. My prayer, my hope is that you hear the faith in my voice. You hear the faith in my conversation. You hear my roots when I interact. You see it expressed when I'm interacting with people, that you feel love, you feel, peace, you feel joy, all of the stuff that I've received as a result of my faith. And so, yeah, for me, I guess in short, to answer your question, the way I got here or to this point is that my relationship has evolved, and I've really fallen more in love with God. And now I'm to the point, man, where it's like, it's so a part of me that I can't hide it, I guess is what I'm saying.
You know what? I think sometimes, we're not gonna name no churches or no bishops, no pastors, nothing like that. Okay. But I have been places, we're gonna say that. I've been places, I'm like, and I guess I felt attacked because my life is not, it didn't read like the Bible. A lot of stuff is different. And, the way I do stuff, or, maybe who you love is not, it's not cool with everybody. So, and like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was turned off the church, period, man. And of course, me and God still got our own thing. Right. And so, what happened for me was, I had to remember, like, it's not about them, it's about you.
Something that comes to mind that, my family used to always talk about is working out your own soul salvation with fear and trembling. And what that's talking about is your relationship with God is your relationship with God. Mm-hmm. So if I'm just being honest, my priority is not your lifestyle. Does that make sense? Like, what you choose to do. My priority is telling you the truth, is feeding you. Jesus said, if you love me, feed my sheep. Who are his sheep? People, humanity. So my job is to connect to people and just love on you, show you the way of Christ, show you the love of Christ. And then once we're in relationship, teach you the principles of Christ. But at the end of the day, I can't live your life for you. So your choices, like how you were saying, you're like, well, my life don't read like the Bible. None of our lives read like the Bible. Mm-hmm. The biggest, the most high up pastor, bishop, preacher, whatever, their lives don't read like the Bible. Mm-hmm. And the shame in it is that we have pushed this image, I call it a veneer. We've pushed this, outer image, this look that to be a believer or to be a Christian, it has to be like this, or it has to look like this. Don't get me wrong, and I never on any level want to reduce or minimize God's standard. God has a way of doing everything. But what I've come to learn is that his way of doing stuff is not to rob you of fun. A lot of times you're like, oh, I got to do this. Like, I just want to have fun. God, his ways of doing stuff is not to rob you of having fun, but it's really to prosper you. And I've had to learn this in my own life. His goal is to try to get you to live your best life. Mm-hmm. And that's how, how I see it, how I've experienced it. And so as a result, my only job, I don't care what your life looks like. I don't care what you're doing, what you're going through. I want to connect with you and make a meaningful relationship, not just for the sake of, well, I want to be your friend just so I can tell you about Jesus. That's whack. That's dumb. Like, That's not my goal. My intention is I want to build a real relationship with you, because at the end of the day, regardless of your situation, God loves you and he's not mad at you for real. A lot of people are like, oh, my life, God must be mad. God is not mad at you. And people don't know that for real. Like, people really think like, oh, I drink, or because of what I do, the relationship I'm in or whatever, God hates me. God does not. In fact, he's desperately crazy in love with and for you. And so, yeah, I don't know if I just kind of went down the rabbit trail with that.
No, that's good. And also too, like I said, the older you get, the more you. The one thing that I can say that I think people got wrong, a lot of people were like, don't question God. I think that's so far-fetched. No, me, I'm like, look here, Lord, what are you doing? What's going on? Because like this virus. I'm like, Jesus, what you doing? Like, what we doing here? I think it's okay to have that connection to where, like, okay, can you please give me a sign of where we going next? Because right now I'm lost. And I think, go ahead.
No, to that, when you said that, you just pulled on my heartstrings, because they used to beat that over our head. But that was the thing that they beat over our head. Don't question God. And like you said, when you get older, this is the thing that I've come to learn. The stuff that intimidates religion, the stuff that intimidates the structure of church, or even people that profess to be the leaders of it all, does not intimidate God. God is not intimidated by your questions. Now, I always preface it like this, because I say question God all day. Just remember, he is holy. So, don't be like cussing him out or whatever. But that's, again, that's my relationship with him. I'm not going to get out of pocket with him.
Don't go to God all crazy.
Right. But exactly what you said, like, hold up, Lord. I'll not wait. Hold up. I need a sign, like, you showing me or saying this is the way to go. I'm not understanding it. Like, I remember back when I first got in college, it was those t-shirts that said Jesus is my homie, or Jesus is my homeboy.
Yeah.
I remember people in church used to go nuts. Say, that is so stupid. He is holy. Why would you put that? No, that is the realest thing ever. He doesn't just want to be some far-fetched, supernatural being sitting on a golden, chair that's miles and miles high. His real goal is to be a simple whisper in your heart every day. So I say that to say that questioning God thing is essential. It's important. Like, you have to come to a place where you have a relationship with him, because religion had you thinking, oh, asking a question is wrong. But that's because it intimidates religion. That it strips people of power that try to control you. But when you come to God and you like, yo, I need help me understand, he's able to do it for you, and he's not intimidated by it.
And also, the Bible is a very, very controversial thing amongst people, everybody. It just so I have a friend. He's a minister, and one day I asked him, I'm like, look here, I got a couple of questions because yes, I do believe in God, and I am, I do have some faith base that I go by. More like spiritual than religious, and I know that anyway. But I asked him, I'm like, some of these stories in the Bible are very, very, I'm not gonna say that they can't happen, but it's like, like parting the Red Sea and then walking out amongst a sea. I'm in my head, like, a sea is a big piece of land. Well, not land, but a big
water.
Piece of water. Yeah. And y'all walk, I'm like, people were just walking across the sea, and he told me, hey, look, you gotta remember, the Bible is man-made. So some stories are there to help guide you to want to get to that point to where you have enough faith to walk out on an opportunity like getting married. That's like part of the Red Sea. It's going to somewhere that you ain't never been before, and you have to have faith that, okay, if I go across the Red Sea, the water ain't gonna just drown me, and I'm gonna be dead. So once I looked at the Bible from that standpoint, I'm like, okay, it's man-made, but the stories have lessons. Is what I'm trying to get to. They have lessons that can teach you, like, how to live. It might not be verbatim what happened, but it's there to help guide you. That makes sense?
No, I definitely hear you. It definitely makes sense. And I feel like this is, because I'll say for me, like, when you read the Bible, and this is the biggest issue I believe that a lot of people, and I'm probably gonna have to take my headphones out in a second to put my charger in, but no, what I'll say is, to me, because I believe that the Bible is the Word of God. It was written by man, but authored by God, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I believe that men were inspired by God to put, ink to parchment, or in some cases, nail to stone, whatever. But with that, the reality is whether you're reading a parable, which is just a story, like you said, to illustrate a lesson, to teach a lesson, it's an illustration to give insight to a bigger concept, or it's something that by documentation actually happened. Regardless of that, the point of the Bible is not to just know the Bible for the sake of reading the Bible and knowing the Bible, but you read the Bible for the purpose of getting a blueprint to how to live out your life. So like you said, when you find yourself at the crossroads of, do I start this business? Do I not? Do I get married? Do I not? What I'll say is, whether you believe the Bible is the infallible Word of God, or you believe that there are loopholes, or you don't believe anything at all, at the end of the day, for it to be one of the most ancient books in the world and still be applicable, like, it still makes sense and relate to us, it's some wisdom in there that you need to draw from. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And like, yeah, no, I feel you. There are a lot of things that is super far-fetched, but some of those, like, that's the point of faith. And I always say the Bible is a novel without the Holy Spirit. Like, without hope and faith connected to it, it's, you have to read it and, kind of get what it's trying to say to you. Like, what is it directly saying to Harold? Like, not just reading it for, the sake of,
No, because sometimes it can be a little scary. Like, what?
Like, it's stuff in there that's scandalous and shady, and it's like, what? But I think the point is, I guess to me, the message is that humanity has been in the same position for the longest. And God is pretty consistent. And what I've learned too, even those areas that seem like are discrepancies or conflict with each other, when you research and you study, and that's the problem. A lot of us, we profess to know the Bible, and I'm saying me included, and we don't really know the Bible. Like, we know, I was raised in church, so I know what's been told to me, right? Or people, they kind of know, or they read it through one time. But the Bible is like a historical, like, piece of literature that you really have to study. And so, and without going deep into that, it's just, you have to study because it is cohesive. On the surface, it seems like it's kind of conflicting, or I'll say something here and say something different there. But when you read it and you research it, and you become a student of it, you see that it is very cohesive, very consistent. And if you let it, not only will it make sense, but it can increase the value of your life, in my opinion. I know that's what it's done for me.
So, to kind of summarize this whole conversation, what is it? Even talking to the young men or talking to the young ladies, what is it? What one piece of life that you think is very valuable that someone needs to know? Just one piece.
One piece. That's hard. One piece of advice that I think people need to know. Everything changes.
Yeah.
Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. And the reason why I think that's important is because I feel like in times when life is bad, knowing that things change can bring about a sense of peace, because it will. You can't, this has been my own experience, and I can only speak from my own experience, but you cannot stay down your entire life. Yes, you might have some stuff that happens, and for years, don't get me wrong, I've been in my own situations where it's like, for years I feel like I'm down, but something will happen, and there's going to be moments of goodness, like even in those down times. But even with that, I feel like knowing that everything changes in bad times, it gives a sense of peace. And I feel like in really good times, when it's like, your pocket's fat, bills paid, you able to, like, you literally see your level up, and other people kind of see it too. Knowing that everything changes should give you a sense of discipline and urgency to say, you know what, let me prepare, because if I may not be popping like this tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you could put out 3 books and them mugs be popping, and your 4th one, you like, it may not do it well.
Yeah.
You can know that not only have I saved and prepared myself for this, but that 5th book gonna pop, because now, since you know what I'm saying, I hit this point, and it's right, you know what I mean. But it's really this idea, and even in relationships, everything, like, nothing stays the same. Things change, and so it's kind of a cautionary piece of advice, but it should comfort and console as well. I would hope.
Yeah, life definitely changes, and like I think every 5 years something it's different, and
Yep.
Next year I'll be 25. And so that's gonna be 5 more years. Like, wow. I learned so much. And you 35 right now, right? My math.
34. Don't do that to me. No.
no, but sorry. I'm like, sorry.
Right. No, Shari was a year. Yep. Shari was a year older than me. We were in the same grade, but she was a year older. So yeah, I was her little brother, even though I was taller than her.
Yeah, we're short, little short self. But yeah,
right?
like, but like, 10 years ago, you go back 10 years ago, you probably like, ooh, Mike he was a whole nother person.
A whole nother person, brother. A whole nother, like, sir.
Yeah.
I think about that. I was just married. I just got a job out of college. Yeah, I was a completely different person, sir.
Yeah, but it's good though. Like you said, like changes, and you just have to keep going with it. You have to keep going. You have to keep living. You have to just keep finding yourself because you're never gonna really fully know who you are because, like you said, we evolve and grow all the time. So you're constantly like learning yourself. I think I know I am. Every day I'm like, oh, I'm like that. Or, I like that. Okay, that's good. Or I know I can do that. So I think it's very, very important. So thank you so much for coming. You guys don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll be back next week with another video for you. Bye, y'all.
Passion, romance, sex, sin, pain, and death. Love unexpected. When you think you know your partner, think again.